Welcome to the Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me as he does every Monday night from TheRinger.com is Kevin O'Connor, a.k.a. Kevin O'Bomber, Kevin O'Concert, Kevin O'Climber, Kevin O'Camera, Kevin O'Candyland, Kevin O'Blazarian, Kevin O'Baguette, Kevin O'Croissant, Kevin!
Verno! How are you doing today, man? What's going on?
Me? I'm great. God bless America, land that I love and rooted for and took such incredible. I can't imagine having to fake being excited about Steph Curry doing what he did like you had to do on Saturday, because getting to enjoy that Steph Curry full on Mona Lisa-esque experience, that masterpiece that he put on against France, man, that had to be tough for you.
Not tough at all, Chris, because like I said to you, not tough at all, because like I said to you last week, I was rooting for the documentary, the epic game, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, is that exactly what we got. We got, on the French side, losing. They competed. Wemby had his epic quote after the game saying, "I feel bad for opponents because I'm still learning." And then on the USA side, I mean, Steph, that was the most ridiculous stretch of threes that maybe he's ever had in his entire career. Bill Simmons said it's the greatest shot of Steph's entire career over on X. I think I agree with that, man. That fourth three-pointer that he hit in the fourth quarter, yes, I was rooting for a great game. I wasn't necessarily wearing my Penny Hardaway USA jersey like you were, but boy, I was screaming alone in my office here, having the time of my life, because it was an amazing stretch of basketball, watching three of the 15 greatest players of all time, possibly in their last Olympics, actually getting it done. I can't wait to watch the documentary. I can't wait.
I planned my Saturday around it. I had my longtime producer locally, who you know, John Roser, over at my house. Like, I invited a friend over to watch this game. That's how big a deal it was. And it was absolute pandemonium.
Yeah.
Those 4 threes, and then the last one, the heave that dropped. I mean, I felt like a kid again. I jumped up. We were outside on my deck because I have a TV outside. We jumped up and just started running around, going crazy. I mean, that was...
I hopped out of my chair, too. After the third one, I think I might have. I remember Noah Eagle on the call. I'm pretty sure it was the third one. Noah Eagle, the way he said, "Again?" Like, he framed the question in disbelief when he went for the third three. Again? And I just lost it after that one. Then the fourth one was just, oh my God, crazy. Just like every player on the team did. Every player did as well. I think the applause and the roar in the crowd, it wasn't all USA people doing that. I think there were a lot of French fans just in awe of the greatness of Stephen Curry in that moment.
Before we get to the rest of what we thought about Team USA, we've got to mention on the French side, obviously you have Wemby, you have him in tears after, you have this epic quote about how he, feels sorry for his upcoming opponents in years to come.
Oh, that was awesome.
Got that. I'm going to give you credit because you mentioned Yabu early in this tournament, and you highlighted what the guy was shooting from three. And you said, development is not always linear. And if you go and look, this shouldn't be all that shocking that he's playing well in this tournament, because this is a guy that has really become a very reliable three-point shooter. And when you look at his frame and you look at his size,
shoot great in the tournament. He was under 30% from three in the Olympics,
right.
but last 4 years, 40+% from three.
And you look at his frame and you think, man, if you can knock down some threes, if you're willing to go to the basket, and not only does he go to the basket.
That's crazy.
I mean, you don't see LeBron get cracked on like that.
That was
and I love guys. Look, I love guys that shoot threes, are athletic, but also have that, whatever that wiring that when they go to the basket, they are going to the basket. He's
trying to dunk it.
Everybody. On anybody. It doesn't matter.
The anti-Ayton. Like Ayton,
yes.
like it's like I like parts of Ayton's game, but the thing is that's so frustrating about him, he's a 7-footer who just lays the ball up. He doesn't go for dunks.
That guy's an NBA player.
Yabusele deserves a chance for sure. I mean, I thought early on in the Olympics, like it stood out, as you said, like, hey, he looks like a much improved version of himself. The 3-pointers looking good statistically. And then every game for France, Yabu did something where you're like, okay, that can translate to an NBA floor. And I hope he gets an opportunity. Obviously, it's late in the offseason at this point, but I mean, I hope he gets a shot. He deserves one. He looks ready to me, and maybe he will be one of those guys, as we talked about weeks ago earlier in the Olympics, where it's like PJ Tucker, where it's like 6 years, it's like first year in the NBA, then 6 years played in other leagues on Basketball Reference. Maybe Yabusele will, have a story like that where after some success with Real Madrid, he gets another NBA chance, and hey, he could spend the next 6, 7, 8 years playing a role in the NBA. I'm not saying he'll be PJ Tucker level, competing high level in the playoffs, but boy, he sure did in the Olympics at a high level in big games.
But you may recall years ago, there was another guy, Candace Parker's brother, Anthony Parker.
Yeah. Same
kind of deal. Remember, I think he came over, I think he played for the Raptors first, but I mean, he ended up having like an NBA career after, and everybody was like, where did this guy come from?
Same thing. Like, if you look at I just pulled up his Basketball Reference, 1997 Sixers, 98 Sixers, 99 Magic, and then from 2000 until 06, played in Israel and in Italy. And then he played the last 4, 5, 6 years of his career in the NBA with the Raptors and the Cavaliers when he was 31 years old.
Right.
After spending a lot of time overseas in his quote-unquote prime years.
Yep. And maybe we will see Yabu, but I mean, I loved everything about it. I loved it.
So fun.
The dunk on LeBron was obviously timeless, but beyond that.
The afro, too. The French Ben Wallace, as people were calling him on social.
Beignet Wallace. Beignet Wallace is amazing.
So good.
Yeah,
so
the
good.
headband, the afro, everything about him is awesome. I want him in the NBA. Especially because I was at Summer League this year, and I don't think I even mentioned this on the pod. I've never been more depressed in my life than I went to a Cavs game in Summer League. Jared Allen showed up, and he had shaved it off.
Really?
Yes.
Is that really?
Yes. I saw him on the front row. He was with like all those guys at a Cavs game, and I mean, it just broke my heart.
Really?
Absolutely broke my heart. Yes.
Is this known information for?
I don't know.
Cavs
I'm
fans?
telling you, he was on the front row at the game. You know who else did it? Who everybody's going to be shocked when they see him is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's had that long hair for a long time now.
I think I might have seen a photo of Marcus, because Marcus looks more like he did at Oklahoma State, and it was like early in his Celtics career.
Yep.
I just searched for Jared Allen shave, Jared Allen afro.
He cut it off.
X, and I see nothing, though.
He was on the front row of a Summer League game this year.
Really?
And he had chopped off the afro. And I was like,
it wasn't
no!
a doppelganger? Are you sure? Not a doppelganger?
Dude, you're not missing. And it was the whole team. They were all sitting there together on the front row.
Huh.
Yeah, it was upsetting, to say the least. So what I'm saying is, if Jared Allen's not going to have the beautiful fro, then we need to have Yabusele in the NBA.
We need him. He's a must. Somebody please sign him, please.
Yes.
I know Jared Weiss over at the
You know
Athletic.
Who's talked about signing him? The Cavs.
Yeah, the Cavs. Yes.
So they could trade out a fro for a fro.
Yes. The Cavs seem like a team that, I forget who reported it, forgive me, who said they could sign him. But I know Jared Weiss, not Jared Allen. Jared Weiss over at the Athletic said that the Celtics, who drafted him, it sounds like the Celtics are not interested in Guerschon Yabusele. So he last spent the 18-19 season in the NBA with Boston. Sounds like he will not be making a return there, according to Jared Weiss.
Back to Team USA. Clearly one of the signature Steph moments of his incredible, unbelievable career.
It was beautiful.
Getting to see all of those guys play together. But one of the things that you and I talked about, and this was as this tournament was going on, I said, Kevin, it certainly appears that we've talked about for years, like, oh, the world's catching up, and so many of the guys that are the best players in the NBA are from other countries now. And you see on the men's side and you see on the women's side and what took place, that it was an absolute necessity to have your best players there. That you would not have had your best players there, because not only did you have those great players had to be unbelievable in that setting. Like, that's an all-time. It took every bit of that Steph Curry performance in both of those games. You know, I had this number that in the first 4 games of the Olympics, Curry averaged 7 points, shot 41% from the field, 19% from 3, and had made 5 3-pointers. In the last 2 games, 30 points a game, 60% from the field, 65% from 3, and
Insane.
17 3-pointers.
Crazy.
And it took every bit of it to be able to stave off Serbia and then France. And you do wonder, this is not, it's not going to become less competitive as the years go on. But these are all-time great players, and it required them being all-time great. And I just think that speaks to how unbelievable the basketball is around the world, and these teams that are assembled that get, 4, 8, 12 years sometimes of playing international competition, that it's still very hard, even with the best of the best, to throw together 12 guys and expect them to go win this, because
that's why
you
it's
can't
a
do better.
good thing. That's why it's a good thing these games were competitive in the Final Four, in the semifinal and the final between USA and France, because you look at the way the basketball game has grown around the world. Obviously, there's far more talented players from international countries across the world that are now in the NBA. But also the talent pool has grown within those leagues overseas as well, where there's more talent. And I think the better the competition is, the better the sport of basketball is worldwide, the more interest there is in the game, the more interest there is in the NBA, the more interest there is in wanting to pick up a basketball and play when you otherwise may not have interest if there's 40-point blowouts in these games in the Olympics. So I think it's a good thing for the global game of basketball that these games were highly competitive, where France and Serbia were going toe-to-toe against the best of the best, and not just the best players in the NBA, but some of the best players ever of all time, with Steph, KD, and LeBron James still playing at a high level. So I think it's a very unique time in basketball history right now. When will we again have one team that has 3 of the 15 greatest players ever on it at one time? When will we have a tournament with 3 of the 15 greatest players involved at one time? It is really remarkable what we just witnessed this last month or so with the Olympics, with Stephen Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant all playing together still at the level that they are. I think for basketball as a whole worldwide, there's probably tons of little kids who watch the Olympics and are now even bigger fans of the game than they were prior to it.
And I do think that it puts an onus on USA basketball and making sure that young guys are getting into the system, but also these young guys are getting in the system and they're getting reps playing against other teams, because this team had to throw it together because they assembled what they had assembled, but they had not played together as a basketball team, and their overwhelming talent got them over the hump. These other teams, in so many ways, you see the friendship, you see the chemistry, you see how both on and off the court it translates. And there is no greater example of that than, I don't know if you've seen that mashup of Nikola Jokic and the interview that is after they have won the NBA Finals. And he says, "It's good. It's good. Now we can all go back home." And then he walks off. And then they show him in that Serbian bus singing a song. They're all going buck wild. And somebody put up the meme, the difference between your friends and your coworkers, and he just went, even after this, they showed him the next day, he was back at the horse track. All he wants to do is go back to Serbia and be around Serbian people and listen to Serbian music and go to the horse track. And it's it really is his job, what he is doing. But you see the passion and you see the chemistry that these guys have because they are friends and they've been playing together since, in many cases, those kids are identified at 15, 16 years old.
Sometimes younger in certain cases. Yeah. Could be 12 or 13.
Well, and you saw, I remember used to see those Spanish teams with the Gasol brothers and Ricky Rubio and Juan Carlos Navarro and that whole crew. And they were, as tight could be, the level of passion they played with, the level of chemistry they played with. But most importantly, those teams had gotten a ton of reps together. The USA, I think one of the things this proved is you're not just going to be able to throw it together and play for a training camp, play some friendlies, and then be able to go win this thing going forward. And I do think it's essential to get the young upcoming talent in the mix, getting a lot of reps, playing in games with each other. Because it was a disappointment last year, clearly, in the Worlds. And then this one, man, as to quote Anthony Edwards, make sure you got some old heads with you. Because those guys, the stage for the younger players, even for Edwards, looked a little bright in those last couple of games. And you needed LeBron James, the role player, and Steph Curry, this Super Saiyan, and Kevin Durant moments. And geez Louise. Embiid having to take over 7 straight points in the Serbia game when they were down huge. You just needed every bit of these Hall of Fame level players to get this one. And I think it speaks to how great that's going to be in LA in 4 years. My God.
Well, LA in 4 years, you'll have LeBron, who may not be in the league anymore. Yep. Who knows the level that Steph and KD will be at? Maybe they'll still play. Maybe they won't be. Who really knows? It's hard to predict. The bottom line is they'll be 4 years older. Even Embiid will be 34 at that point. A 7'2" guy, 300 pounds with 4 more years of miles and potential injuries on his body, right? So those are 4 of the key guys already before even getting to some of the younger guys. Devin Booker, I thought, was sensational in this tournament, playing a lesser role. The way he's perceived, I think, has changed from a lot of people who had been soured on him in the past. They saw a new version of him, the toughness, the grit on defense, the ability to play a role on offense, a lesser role. Anthony Edwards up and down. Tatum was obviously a disaster. He could not hit any jumpers. He wasn't hitting jumpers well for the Celtics in the playoffs either, or the final month of the season. That's a different conversation for Boston. But the younger guys on Team USA were not great in this tournament, aside from Devin Booker. Do you worry about Team USA in 2028 with their ability to actually take home gold again?
No. I don't. I think you never know what these guys are going to look like in 4 years. And I'm talking about the young players in the league. I think you could look up and you've got Ja Morant and you've got Paolo Banchero and you've got, I think you're Chet Holmgren, and I think you're going to have great, great players.
Those guys are still going to be young, though. All those guys. You can mention even some of the guys coming into the next year's draft in 25, Cooper Flagg or Dabansa in 26, but those guys will still just be babies when it's the 2028 Olympics. They're probably more relevant for the 2032 Olympics. I think 28 is really the window for some of these other teams to go get gold, because that feels like one of those transitional years for Team USA, whereas
Maybe
this
so.
24 feels like it was kind of the closing of an era, and 28 feels like it's the opening of a new chapter. Who knows what the team will look like? You're right. Some of those guys could blossom into megastars, and they just plow through the entire world. Jokic is going to be four more years older. Serbia might not be as much of a threat at that point. Who really knows? Maybe Nolan Traore doesn't work out at point guard for France, and they're still struggling with perimeter creation, and Victor Wembanyama needs to do everything for France, and that they become a team that's competing for silver or bronze, or maybe they don't even medal. So who knows? Team USA will still have the most depth of talent, but we don't know like the high end level of that talent.
No, they need their and this is one of the things that we have talked about. And this is where Edwards kind of grabbed the bull by the horns in terms of who's the American guy that people can latch onto. Everybody thought it was going to be Morant, and it was for a time. I mean, he played no games last year and still had one of the top selling jerseys and sold about 5 billion pairs of shoes, even though he wasn't even playing. So if he can get his career back on track after missing a year and a half,
he's a candidate.
Then you have Paolo, and then you have, what if Zion gets it together? And then you've got Morant and Edwards and Zion. These are all the guys we talked about as like the next American guy that can really take hold. And Paolo and Chet. And
what if Cade Cunningham? What if Cade continues, like he made some progress last year for a crappy Pistons team. What if he gets better? Devin Booker is, I think Booker
he'll be right in his prime.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Jason Tatum, it was a terrible Olympics for him. He was horrible. He was benched at times. He could not shoot when he was on the floor. But Tatum is a better player than he showed in the Olympics, and in 4 years, he'll still be in prime years. So I think for Team USA, they still should be favored in 28. But, at the same time, like Anthony Edwards said it, you need some of those old heads on your team. There's not going to be a lot of them in all likelihood at that point, unless it's like an Embiid at 34, 80 at 35, and who knows what a big man will look like at that stage of their career.
It's interesting you're saying this because I think people can look back and they could say that was kind of the deal with when it went down a little bit. When the embarrassment took place in 2004, and then everything changed after that. We were no longer in that Jordan, Magic Bird, like all those guys era anymore. And so it was kind of a transition. That wasn't like some incredibly old head, veteran laden team. And this one is going to be very, very special. And, I never want to be prisoner of the moment, but I don't think I'm going to forget this.
No, I
really don't. I certainly will not forget that Curry explosion at the end of that game.
No,
and
sensational.
Putting the whole country on his back. That was crazy.
And also like some of the photographs from the game. Like I think the shot Steph hit over Victor Wembanyama with Victor sprawling through the air, all 8 feet of his wingspan, and Steph kind of fading away. That picture's amazing. And then obviously with 2 defenders just all over Stephen Curry, hitting that 4-3 in the fourth quarter clutch. That's like a visual that I don't think I'll ever forget. I hope I never forget it. I mean, something went wrong with my memory, with my brain if I forget that.
You know what? And you may look up and like some of the, not the 35-year-old veterans, but like we might look up and it's the Jalen Brunsons and the Donovan Mitchells and those guys of the world, right? Like it's their crack at it.
A lot of options.
Like, so I'm not worried.
It could be Jaylen Brown.
Hey, what I'm saying is I'm not worried. What I am saying is you're going to need to get more reps because you don't have that. You're not going to have Curry, LeBron, and Durant and Embiid. And so, like, you're going to have to get more reps with whatever team you are going to assemble for 4 years down the road, rather than you can throw it together when it's this group. I do not think you could throw it together if it's not.
Yeah, especially if France continues getting even better, or maybe Spain has a resurgence at one point in the years to come. But I will say this, when it comes to those future Team USA rosters, I can't wait to see AJ Debonsa playing for Team USA. Brockton-born AJ. It's just going to be sick to see him. I mean, I think that dude's going to be a megastar in the NBA.
Sure.
I think, I mean, he's not going to be entering the NBA until 2026. but Kyle Mann over on the Ringers YouTube page made a great breakdown video explaining him. If you're a listener who doesn't know who he is and know anything about him, just know he's like 6'8", 6'9", can handle. He's selfless. He's like cagey intensity on defense. He can create off the dribble. He's fluid. He checks literally every box as a teenager. One of those guys like Cooper Flagg coming around to Duke next year that you could plop on an NBA floor tomorrow and he could produce at a positive level. One of those levels of prospects. So Team USA's got 2 of them in the next 2 years. Never mind Cameron Boozer, the Rutgers guys in the 2025 draft, Cameron Boozer in 2026. A lot of USA talent incoming that's going to help them through the 2030s.
Well, from what I've gathered, DeBanza, what makes him even all the more impressive to me is throughout this EYBL stuff and him playing, his high school career out is, I mean, the kid's already making a fortune playing basketball as a prep. And so he goes with that level. It's not like he hadn't made it yet. And yet, this guy, the high school athletes now are making money in ways that were just not even, and some would say that's rather unhealthy in terms of being, I get it. I totally get it. But all I'm saying, and I think
pros and cons to everything.
I think there's a lot, I'm using this as an opportunity to give him credit because I think a lot of kids are going to get ruined by that. And I do think it will have a negative impact on them when you're getting credit and you're getting, in some cases, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars because you've blown up on social media. I mean, that kid I think he's going to UCF this year. He was supposed to go to Memphis last year, and then he had that, shooting a gun case, and he never played. Mikey Williams. I mean, the kid had millions of Instagram followers, and he's, got, a $500,000 outfit on with $1 million chain standing in front of a Lamborghini. And I'm like, who is going to tell him what to do?
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Good luck. And so I think that's the credit to somebody like DeBanza and these guys. It's like he's not playing for the money. He's playing to prove he's the best player.
Yeah.
And you can see that with the way he plays. And
the intensity is just on another level from him. Like I said, I mean, I would never invoke the name KG too often, but he just brings that style of intensity and just hunger to just get stops on defense. And I just very much enjoy those types of players and always will. And it's very clear that he's from Brockton with the mindset he brings to the floor. It's very exciting to have a Brockton-born player.
You're so proud of your hometown, even though he bolted from it. He couldn't get out of there fast enough.
I mean, I love Brockton, but also happy to be living
it's not
outside
like he's
of
playing
Brockton
for
now.
Brockton High, Kevin. Shut up. I do think that this is a great basketball viewing Olympics. Truly.
It was great. It was beautiful.
A great basketball
from
viewing.
A lot of perspectives. NBC and Peacock nailed it. I think the app, the Peacock app was great. I really enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed the broadcast.
I love you brought this up.
Okay.
We love Noah Eagle.
Tremendous.
Thought he was great.
A+ transcendent talent. I hope NBC hires him to do a bunch of NBA games.
I think they've already announced he's going to be a part of it.
Yes, but I want him doing big-time games. I want him doing Christmas Day games.
It's a matter of time.
Yes.
Let me give you one thing that they used on that I hope gets stolen. So there's always the, that red zone type thing has been a real game changer in sports broadcasting. Even when I was part of that U.S. Open coverage on Peacock a year ago, we used that same exact format. And we were just bouncing from hole to hole to hole. And then they use it in golf. And they use it in college football. And they use it, I think DAZN tried it in baseball for some time. And then even last year, Jared Greenberg and those guys, did some kind of version of it on NBA TV. And so there's always innovations like that take place. There was an innovation that took place throughout this, and I don't know if you experienced it on the Peacock app, but we need this desperately, and I hope Adam Silver and the powers that be were paying attention because this was obviously something that could be pulled off, and I think as a basketball fan is heightens the experience a great deal. So NBC and Peacock did an amazing job with the Olympics. No question. They did their version of the Gold Zone. But also in conjunction with the Gold Zone, there was a game that was on. It started while I was at work. So I just kind of turned it on my phone and listened to it in the car as I drove home. And then I got home at halftime. And at halftime, I go to the TV, I turn it on, and it's got the score up, and they're coming to half. But on the bottom left-hand corner, it says catch up with key plays. And you could just scroll over to it. And I hit it. And it was like, in many cases, and it was catching up in real time. So it would be like, here's 18 plays. And no, like fast forward, no, I didn't have to touch a button. And it would say, like, here's the Bam Adebayo block. Here's Steph Curry for 3. Here's a LeBron James chase down steal. Here's a Kevin Durant swings it over to Devin Booker in the corner. And it would play like the 18 to 20 most significant plays in the game. And then it would just say, catch up to the game. So anything that you had missed in that game, you could just click that button and watch key plays all the way up, and then it would catch you up to the game. And I was like, this is amazing. Because again, as I told you, the game started as I got in my car. I miss a good portion of the first half because of the commute. And then that's just right there. Like, it was basically like having Twitter right there, like any kind of significant plays that you would see, where that's usually how we've been using social media, is like, oh, I'm at some game and now somebody will text me and they'll be like, oh my God, did you see the Anthony Edwards dunk? And then I just type in Anthony Edwards dunk and sure enough, it pops up. This was a great innovation that I had not ever seen before. But this whole catch up on the game stuff, and I don't know how they were getting those clips up like that in real time. Like anytime something significant happened, it was just another one. And then the way they embedded it in the screen and then would just catch you up to the game. I want that for NBA games. That would be amazing.
I might be misremembering, but I think YouTube TV might have a similar feature. I've never used it.
Key plays?
I don't think League Pass has it, but I'm pretty sure YouTube TV does. I mean, I didn't use it within the Peacock app, though I did see the option. But yeah, I think features like that are a must. And I think overall, like the fact that the way you're explaining how well it worked and how seamless it was is a good example of, I think, was represented and how easy it was to sort through different competitions within the Peacock app to find what you're looking for. And that makes me overall very, very optimistic about what NBC has planned for the NBA partnership they'll have for many years to come. Because I thought they did a great job on the broadcast. If you're just tuning in on your TV, I thought they did a great job on the app. I thought everything was very well done. And, you know, I think over the entire Olympics, the main broadcast crew, Noah Eagle, Dwayne Wade. Noah Eagle's such a pro. He also made Dwayne Wade better throughout that as well. Wade comes in with really no broadcasting experience. Wade had his hiccups early on with the pull string, repetitive quotes with Bam Adebayo's real name, the he-him jokes, and he eliminated that. And on top of that, he got better throughout, more comfortable calling the game. And I think that's a credit to Noah Eagle, but also the producers behind the scenes that are working with Wade. I thought everything was just high level.
The other thing about Dwayne Wade is, in my opinion, intensely likable.
He is such a likable guy.
I think
he's just true to himself.
Yeah, I think he's a likable guy. I think he reminds me of the kind of guy you would enjoy being around, and that when he walks into a room, you're glad he's just walked into the room.
Super chill.
Yes.
I agree. And that makes for an easy,
it really does,
listening experience as somebody sitting at home.
That's right. It doesn't seem fake at all. I think he actually is. Yeah, I think he's actually fun. I think he's like, you know what I mean? And so he could really get very good at that. He's got so much else on his plate, he probably won't. But
have to pay him a lot of money, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, and he certainly grew on me more and more as that whole tournament went on. But yeah, on the That's the one thing about that broadcast, because I haven't been able to get it out of my head. If I came home at halftime of a game, because it moved me straight into the live game. So if I got home at halftime of like a, I don't know, Wolves Pacers just game, and then I could just click like, hey, man, now show me everything that I need to see that gets me caught up to this point, but I could do it within 3 minutes time. It'd be incredible.
Yeah, crazy.
It'd be incredible. I feel like I hadn't missed much.
Well, that's one good thing I think the NBA does is their recaps for people that don't have time to watch a 2-hour game, which is, a lot of people. People have busy lives, families, work, 2 jobs sometimes. The 10, 15-minute recaps that they put up are pretty good.
I think those do a good job. My son's been watching those since he's 5 years old.
Yeah.
Seriously.
They're great.
No, he does.
They're great. And then
that's how
the app,
he watches 10 games in 10 minutes.
And then within the app, they have the 40-minute like all possessions.
Yep.
Which are included. I wish sometimes they would do those like a little bit longer, where sometimes it misses the beginning of a play. But I mean, for the most part, they do a great job with those. And
you ever done that for the NFL? Oh yeah. Well, you've kind of gotten out of the NFL, right?
Well, I mean, I'm easing my way back in. Last year was step one. Getting back into fantasy football. Today I played Madden. I got my ass whooped playing an online game. I got destroyed like 28-6.
Damn, that's tough.
But this year I'm going to be easing my way even more back into the NFL, because I miss having the NFL in my life. I used to love the NFL just as much as I love the NBA.
So when you see that, when you see their version, it's going to freak you out.
Is it perfect?
Oh, well, no, in terms of the play thing, you can watch the whole game in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, because football, there's so much downtime between plays. But with that, do they show like pre-snap adjustments?
No, that's every play. You just watch it play.
I know, but like I want to see like the wide receiver go in motion too. They don't cut that out, right? I want to see the quarterback at the line.
You'll probably hear, okay, Jim. Here's the Mike linebacker, and if he throws it to the outside, you'll still be able to hear.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's really good, though, the way they do it as well. So there's the Olympic basketball viewing experience was fantastic, and I do think that there's some lessons to be learned from it, but also the fact that it became so intensely memorable is something that we will for sure get to carry with. Few things we need to mention about some schedule leaks. NBA schedule is supposed to be dropping on Thursday, I believe, of this week.
Do we want to save them all for later in the week? Just everything? Save it all? I mean, I'm open to talking about it now, but I'm just throwing the thought out there.
We can. I mean, there's not that much that's been leaked.
All right, cool. We'll talk about it now.
The opening night stuff, which is Knicks, Celtics, Wolves, Lakers. Those are both great. Klay Thompson's return to Chase Center November 12th. So this will be a big TNT game. The Intuit Dome. You're going to have to go to this one.
Oh, I'm going to be going for a concert. I'm going for David Gilmour, guitarist from Pink Floyd. I'm going to that next month.
Is he opening it up?
No, he's not opening it up, but
What is the first event at Intuit Dome?
Good question. Let's find this out. Continue naming some games, and I'll
tell you. Did I ever tell you about the time when I went to the first ever event at FedEx Forum in Memphis? The first ever event was a concert that took place. That was the night they opened up the arena.
It's a concert for Intuit Dome as well. It's Bruno Mars, Thursday night. Bruno Mars.
So check this out.
Yeah.
I went and I saw Usher.
Wow, Usher.
So at the time, I am working at a radio station, and I'm out in front in the plaza before, and everybody's going because Yeah has come out. It's the biggest song in the world. Usher's got 1 million hits. Like, he's the biggest pop star in the world at that moment. And so this was a huge concert to have. And then the arena's opening for the first night ever. So anyways, there's a radio station, and I worked in a cluster of radio stations that I worked at. And one of them was a hip hop and R&B station. And I see one of the DJs from there. I see him out on the concourse. And he's like, "Hey, Chris." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You want to meet Usher?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "We're doing a meet and greet." He's like, "I'll get you down there. You want to go?" And I was like, "Yes. Yes, I want to go." And so I go downstairs, and it's like this small room. They're doing this like meet and greet. And the guy walks in. And Kevin, when I tell you, it was like, have you ever met like one of these like amazing politicians? That's what it was like. He walks up to me, and I'm like, I'm nervous as can be. I'm in my young 20s. And I'm like, "Hey." And he's like, "Hey, man." He's like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Chris." And he's like, "Chris." He's like, "Man, thank you so much for coming to this show tonight."
Sounds like such a politician to me.
And I was like, "Sure, we're real excited, Usher." And he was, I walked out and I just spread the gospel of Usher. I was like, that guy is the nicest guy in the world. Truly. Like, it was just that one moment. And it was a meet and greet. So, what's he going to do? Be a dick? But he couldn't have been cooler. Could not have been cooler. So then I walked to the other room. They asked me, and then we get out to, like, he's got an opener. Guess who the friggin' opener was?
Bruno
Unknown. Better.
Okay. Who?
Kanye West.
Wow.
With John Legend.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Jesus Walks had just come out.
What a lineup.
Crazy in retrospect.
God.
In retrospect, Kanye West, and then he brought out John Legend, and then it was the Usher show. Crazy.
Wow.
That was the first event ever at the basketball arena.
That's a crazy
And I just
first
happened
event.
to be there. Yeah. I know. With the way things played out.
Wow.
With the way time played out. You know what I mean? Who would have known? And I remember, true story, he played, and he like played, probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 songs off of College Dropout. The only thing anybody really knew was Jesus Walks. And I was like, this guy is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then nobody knew who John Legend was. John Legend comes out and he's like on his piano. He's like, "One glad morning when this." He's playing that part from the album and like playing these gospel hymns. It was great.
I remember I was in my freshman year of high school when Jesus Walks came out.
Yep.
Everybody was listening to Jesus Walks.
Everybody was.
Everybody. It's amazing.
That College Dropout album is amazing.
Yeah.
It stood the test. Much better than Vultures 2, let's just say.
I mean,
yeah.
Look,
somebody
early
save
Kanye.
him.
Early Kanye. If he can get back to like, College Dropout, Late Registration, never mind my favorite Kanye album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. If he could ever produce something 80% as good as that, I'll be very happy.
Anyways, the other one, so Intuit Dome, the first basketball game, regular season at least, is going to be October 23rd against Phoenix.
And for what it's worth, my concert's not till October 25th, so I got the month wrong. So I'll be going on the 23rd for my first time in Intuit Dome. But I don't know, they have a lot of good concerts coming out, man. They also have Usher on the 21st and 22nd and 24th and 25th. So he has like a little residency here in LA with 4 shows at Intuit Dome. I mean, I feel like there's some shows here that I gotta try to see. Slipknot, they got playing. Bruno Mars, Olivia Rodrigo's got 2 shows. A lot of good shows.
I bet they do have a lot of good shows.
Future that might interest you. Weezer, Billy Joel.
Oh wow, they got a big lineup there. All right,
but I'm definitely going to David Gilmour. I'm gonna have him shred my face off with some amazing guitar solos.
All right, so we got the Intuit Dome. That's going to be their first game is going to be October 23rd versus Phoenix, and then we've got the Christmas games. They put Wemby on Christmas, so we got Wemby versus the Knicks.
Good choice.
They got Wolves, Mavs. They've got 76ers, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, Nuggets, Suns. So obviously, a great day for a great Christmas Day slate. Great Christmas Day slate, and
excellent.
Very clearly featuring Wemby on that day,
as there should
with their game against the Knicks. And so those have been the leaks, and then we're going to get to everything after the schedule comes out. We will certainly broach that subject on Thursday. All right, we have had people send in a lot of mailbags, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, we'll be talking mailbag after we talk about the schedule on Thursday. So we got a ton of good mailbag questions. I got some stacked up ready to go for Thursday. Some lingering Olympics questions, some general questions about, our overseas travel, among some other basketball topics as well. But we'll save those for Thursday. And we need more.
We'll do the whole mailbag on Thursday.
We need more mailbag questions. We need NBA mailbag at gmail.com. Hit us up with basketball questions, non-basketball questions, whatever you want to talk about. It's the off season. We could talk about anything. NBA mailbag at gmail.com.
All right. We'll sift through all the great ones, and we will certainly have them all for you on Thursday. Kevin, it's always a pleasure. Thank you to our executive producer, Jessie Lopez, as always, and I'll talk to you on Thursday night.
Can't wait.